Podcast. I'm Steve Head.
And I'm John Black.
And on this week's episode, we're going to discuss Darren Aronofsky's Black Swan. And we're also going to talk about the Kinks documentary, Do It Again, made by Boston Globe's entertainment features writer, Jeff Edgers. How do you pronounce that?
Edgers. Sounds good.
All right, we'll go with that. And I'm going to talk a little bit about Fantasia, which just came out on Blu-ray, and they had a big presentation for it a few weeks back at the...
You're talking
about
it.
I mentioned that to you.
Well, you're only talking about it because you had your picture taken with Mickey, and I hope you post that.
I wonder if... You know what? You reminded me. I was looking at it the other day on yesterday night on my phone, and I thought, geez, I do have to put... I got to put that on. It's not just Mickey. It's Fantasia Mickey. It's Wizard Mickey.
Oh, the Sorcerer's Apprentice Mickey?
Right, the Sorcerer's Apprentice Mickey.
How cool is that, huh?
It's the one that you don't see at Disneyland. It's the traveling Sorcerer's Apprentice Mickey. So. Yeah, it was a real surprise, you know. And the thing about Mickey is, man, he always takes a good photo. There's no bad angle. I had to do a couple of retakes because it just didn't work, and you're giving somebody else your camera, and you gotta try and make it look right. But to ask Mickey Mouse to see if we can try it again from this angle was a little uncomfortable for me.
I'm sure that deep inside there was someone in there really not happy with you, but
yeah.
He can't show it.
I wondered about that, but they're all pros. I mean, this is a real Mickey Mouse, you know.
It's their job.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so Do It Again, and what
Black
else
Swan.
are we going to talk? What?
Black Swan.
All right, Black Swan. Darren Aronofsky, director of The Wrestler, starring Natalie Portman, and I just want to quickly say I have never believed anything that Natalie Portman stars in. I see Natalie Portman on screen, I think that's
Star Wars.
It's not the character she's playing. It's Natalie Portman all the time, except for The Professional.
Right. When she was 12, 13?
Yeah. Yeah, that to me was a character. Everything she's done since Star Wars, Closer, whatever, it's just Natalie Portman, and she's hot, and that takes her a long way. But here it's Natalie Portman as a ballerina, and she's really good. I mean, I think she's actually, her casting in this movie is as perfect as it's ever been. This is as good as it gets in terms of playing a character that's really right in her zone.
But did you forget it was her at any time watching this? Did you forget it was her and surrender to the character?
No, it's just Natalie Portman. To me, Natalie Portman as ballerina, and Mila Kunis too. They're both perfectly cast.
Right.
But
right.
They're just like, they're not real. You know what I mean? They're so lovely looking that they're not like real people looking, which really works for this movie.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
That's a Steve thing. I don't feel that way about either one of them. I'm not a huge fan of either one, but I can take Natalie as a character rather than it's just her up there all the time. So.
Well, she was actually. You remember earlier this year she had that. Oh God! No, that was Mila Kunis. I'm sorry. She was. But she had that. I was just immediately thinking about a scene earlier this year. It was in Whip It. That was actually no, not Whip It. Fuck, Date Night. Date Night, where she did that scene with James Franco.
Yeah,
really good.
Yeah.
The thing, Natalie Portman, though, man, what was the last big flick we saw with her? Brothers. Oh my God, that was depressing.
That movie was torture.
Crap. That was just. Ugh.
This movie's another kind of torture. This movie's intense, Black Swan. It is intense.
Yes, I did really enjoy it.
And the funny thing about it is I went to see the Boston Ballet's Nutcracker right after I saw Black Swan, and you do not look at ballet the same way after you've seen this movie. Just the idea of them going, on point, standing on their toes. I was cringing because I've seen it in this movie, and I'm just cringing. The whole. I think Aronofsky does a great job of filming dance. But not so it looks beautiful. So it's very physical and very demanding and very, it's very intense. I never got the feeling that the movie, watching Black Swan, that any of the dancing was quote-unquote beautiful to look at.
You're right, and he does portray it like a battle.
Yeah.
Where, particularly his close-ups here. When she has, I don't know what the ballet terms are, but when she has to stand on her the tips of her toes.
On point, yeah.
Yeah, or even just wrapping her legs and her hands and her feet. And there's a particularly wincing scene where Natalie Portman's mother clips her nails, and it's like she's gonna dismember her. It's really his use of close-ups. Some people will find really unsettling, but it works for this movie in a disturbing way. It's a disturbing film.
Yeah, and it plays. It's really a sign of Aronofsky's movie where it plays with reality constantly. You're never sure what's real and what's not, which is something he used in not so much in The Wrestler, but I remember his movie Pi. I don't know if you saw that one. That was a total mess of a total collision of reality and unreality. And then he did one with what was his name? Oh,
Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah, Requiem for a Dream, which was just. Did you see that one?
No, I'm not an Aronofsky expert.
No, the Requiem for a Dream is intense. It's people who are drug addicts, and it's one of these movies where they don't just show the people shooting up dope. They show the dope going into veins and rushing through body parts and just this insanity. It's there's nothing light or fluffy about Aronofsky's movies. Nothing.
Yeah.
So
I was really introduced to him with The Wrestler, which just blew me away.
Yeah.
And prior to that, I'd always wanted to see his films, and I had intended to last year, and I got into this, situation where I wanted to. I think we did the same roundtable interview for The Wrestler last year.
Yep.
Yeah, when he was press touring it. So I tried to watch some of his stuff prior to that, and I've seen some of Requiem for a Dream. I can't say I've seen the whole thing, but in preparing for that interview.
I will try to pass it on to you. I think I've got it someplace.
He's a real personal guy.
Yeah, that's just it. He's very friendly, very low key, and he makes these insane movies. And Black Swan, no exception to that.
Yeah.
Anyway, we should tell basically for people who don't know the story yet. It's the story of a dancer played by Natalie Portman. I think her name's Nina. And she's at that point in her career where she should be getting lead roles, but there's an older ballerina who's more established, blah, blah, blah. And the older ballerina is played by Winona Ryder,
the dying swan.
Ugh.
She's actually really well cast here, too.
She is. But she's the prima donna of the corps, and Nina replaces her in this classic ballet. It's the White Swan. Is the ballet, and usually it's played by two dancers. One plays the White Swan, one plays the Black Swan. It's this love story about how it's a woman who turns into a swan who falls in love and then dies at the end or kills herself at the end rather than become a swan forever, whatever. So she's given the role, and she's told she's going to be playing both parts. And Nina's the kind of dancer who wants to be perfect in everything she does. She's driven to be perfect.
And she certainly is played that way in the movie. She's played as the person who has the next level talent that the other dancers can't touch. It's,
right.
It's that diamond, that Vincent Cassel's character finds. He finds his diamond and then he nurtures them. So she doesn't even have to so much worry about these auditions.
Right.
I mean, it makes for a worrisome scene in the movie, but he's so enamored with her that she's going to get it. And he just goes from his next woman to his next, so it's from Winona Ryder to Natalie Portman, and then there's the wild card, which is Mila Kunis. Lily.
Well, and the thing is, to dance the role, the White Swan, Nina's perfect for, but the Black Swan is a more reckless, more, let it go kind of passionate role, and he's trying to, Vincent Cassel, who's the choreographer or director, he's trying to force her to let go of her control and be the Black Swan.
Right, she's got to find her darkness, her Black Swan.
And meanwhile, this other dancer named Lily shows up, Mila Kunis, who is she's the complete opposite of Nina and everything Nina does, all the discipline, all the work she puts in. She's obsessive about every detail. And Lily just comes on. She's like, la-di-da. Oh, yeah, I can do that. I can dance this. Her hair's wilder. She's got tattoos. She's just the cool chick.
Yeah, she is like the Black Swan.
Yeah, Nina's the cold chick. Lily's the cool chick. And then they develop an interesting relationship.
They do, and it's a very confined film.
Mm-hmm.
This is a movie that takes place, I think there's maybe one scene or shot that takes place outside. Most of it is, in the rehearsal hall, in her apartment, in his office, in the hallways, in the locker room. That's as far as this movie goes. It's a very intimate situation here. Yeah. And you're right, they do develop a relationship. They develop a relationship that is just, it's psycho, but for fanboys who've dreamed of certain situations with Mila Kunis and Natalie Portman, this is a dream come true.
Well, it's psycho, but is it psycho because it's happening? Is it psycho because it's what Lily thinks is happening? That's one of the things Aronofsky's playing with all the time, and then what's real and what's not.
Well, we could get into spoiler territory here, because some things are answered, some things aren't answered. I have my beliefs about certain characters, and
that's the cool thing about it.
Yeah, the movie winds backwards on you. Some things are happening that aren't happening. She's really messed up in the head, and you see this on screen. You don't know if she's looking at herself in the mirror, if she's looking at someone else. Things are morphing. Things are just messed up. She has these dream sequences with the dying Swan, who's Winona Ryder.
Right.
But and these are sort of really darkly tragic visions that she has. But I think what's telling about this is that none of these dancers are happy, and none of them are actually seemingly bettering themselves. It's as if they are all on a crash course to some sort of tragedy. You can take a look at what's happened to Winona Ryder's character. You can see what Natalie Portman's going through, and even Mila Kunis. These guys, these dancers, they're on these. It's like a dark mission. It doesn't actually lead to this incredible happiness that one might, think that they're getting from, being ballerinas. It's very entertaining, but I do have to ask myself where we're, this could be like a football movie. It could be like a maniacal. It's actually like a maniacal sports movie, where they're all trying to best each other, but ultimately they're destroying themselves in the process.
I can see that. But that's one of the good things. That's one of the things I like about Aronofsky's work is that as much as he messes with your head, some of it I think he just does it to mess with your head.
Yeah, it's a good bit of filmmaking.
Yeah.
There's some thrifty moments here, shifty moments that are quite well done.
Beautifully photographed. The opening, the title sequence is just Natalie Portman, and man, she must have done some crazy intensive ballerina boot camp because they don't really cut away from her too much.
Peter's interview in the Phoenix, Peter Keogh's interviews, she says he attended the press conference, I guess, that they had, and she said that she'd been training for a year beforehand.
Okay, it shows.
Lots.
It shows, yeah. There might be some computer trickery, but most of it is there on the screen for you to see, which is impressive stuff. But I'm not a ballet aficionado. I'm not going to go up there and say, well, the Black Swan, the White Swan isn't danced that way, blah blah blah. I was more interested in watching Vincent Cassel, who's as intense as anything in this movie as the choreographer.
Yeah, he really is sort of
the puppet master,
the center of everything, the puppet master, and these women are his harem.
Yeah,
in a sense, all dancing around him, trying to impress him, and they really do. The women, they become more than just the lead dancer. They become his woman, and then when he's done with you, you're done. So it's just like he's everyone is sort of slave to his vision, and it's an alternative vision of the Nutcracker. An alternative vision.
Not the Nutcracker.
Or Swan Lake. Well, yeah.
The Nutcracker.
I couldn't get Nutcracker and Slutcracker out of my head. We were at this show last night. And
you went to the Slutcracker?
No, but one of the performers who was in the Slutcracker came to the concert after her performance, and she was wearing her Slutcracker T-shirt. And if you don't know what the Slutcracker is, and you're walking around in a Slutcracker T-shirt, people might think something. Anyway, but yeah. So, Swan Lake. Sorry. Vincent Cassel.
Yeah, who is I think perfect in this. And then we didn't mention Barbara Hershey, the wonderful actress Barbara Hershey plays Nina's mom Erica, and it's like a psycho mom.
Totally psycho. John, I'm just going to go ahead and say this. All right, this may not be the way things happen in the movie, but I'm going to throw this out there. What I thought about Barbara Hershey's character was, if you notice how she interacts with people in the film, and when you see her and how people come and go, you don't really ever see her with anybody other than Natalie Portman. And you know, there's a couple of close situations where she might be in the same scene with Mila Kunis, but I thought that she was dead, and that
what?
Yeah, this is. I thought in the middle of the movie that, oh my God, she might be dead, and Natalie Portman is just totally imagining her mother. She's having imaginary conversations. You know, she's so crazy. So I became sort of like vigilant for any situations where Barbara Hershey's character Erica would be exposed or in the presence of another character on screen. And there was almost a crossover with Mila Kunis, but there wasn't. I mean, I was like, wow, her mom could actually be dead, and it's still sort of an unanswered thing, you know. And you know what? This could totally not relate to anything in the movie in a way, so it might not, you know, not a spoiler at all. Not a spoiler at all. You could just see this movie and think, and from the point of view that her mother had died, and this is how things are, you know, coming in and out of her life, and how she's relating to things. And
wow.
So you could watch the movie from that angle. All right.
Okay.
And Vincent Cassel, man, he's a real presence. I mean, from the first moment you see him on screen in his office, where he kind of does an audition with her, you know, he's very, you know, he's like this creative, demanding guy, and all the girls want to impress him. You know, it's like he has just complete control of this, and you know, in some way, he may be. He's very attuned to his dancers, but I think he's really also ignoring or simply not caring about their mental states,
right,
and what he's putting them through.
I think that's why.
So he could be an enabler.
I think it's definitely right to call him a puppet master, because especially during the rehearsal scenes in the movie, you know, he doesn't care if you're not feeling good, or if your legs ache or your toes are bleeding. It's not his problem. He needs this done. You know, and he really does, you know, manipulate these people.
Yeah. What do you think? Was there something going on there with the lights going off during the rehearsal process? Like, did that mean something? Like, were they slipping into a dream or something, or was it, you know, how was that? Okay. This is something I'd have to watch. You know, again, I'd watch it a second or third time just to try to follow that stuff, because you know, what you said about Barbara Hershey could be true, or it could be there. I just didn't notice it the first time because too much was going on. But it's definitely a movie worth seeing more than once. Yeah, it is. It is, and really, this is a movie that really just, you don't know if it's real or it's not, because she goes through this transformation towards being the Black Swan, and it's disturbing. It's disturbing, and it happens in such, you know, she's going to, you know, get in touch with her dark side, and how this is done filmically is sort of fascinating.
At one point, she actually physically turns into a swan.
Right, but you can make the point that, you know, that has to, see, that's something so far out of the bounds of reality. One could ask themselves, at what point does the film completely shift?
Right. Right.
At what point does she actually lose it? And from this point forward, we're not seeing anything real.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, there could be a breakaway, and I don't know at what point, where, but you know what, I think the introduction of Mila Kunis's character, bringing all this tension into Natalie Portman's life here,
Could be the marking point.
Could have been the breaking point. Could have shifted her in the wrong direction. And I must say, I'm a fan of Vincent Cassel. I digged him in the Mayreen movies.
Yeah, those came and went pretty quick, huh?
Yeah, they did. I think I don't remember. Was it IFC who?
I don't remember.
Released them. I just don't know that they knew how to, or it was a difficult marketing situation with those.
Oh, especially because it was chopped in two.
Yeah.
That didn't make any sense.
Yeah, but just one of the best escape scenes.
Oh yeah, it was great. It was usually entertaining, but the fact that you had to go see it and then come back in 2 weeks and see the second part.
Yeah.
Great I don't think many people are doing that.
Is it out on video yet?
I don't know.
I would say, a lot of people are going to dig Black Swan, and they might want to find out more about Vincent Cassel, and the Mayreen movies are worth it.
He's married to Monica Bellucci.
Really?
So he's not only a great actor, but I think he's one of the luckiest guys on the planet.
And they're going to have beautiful kids, I'm sure.
Yeah, they probably will. But he's got a lot of French movies that are definitely worth checking out. He's someone you want to, remember Crimson Rivers was a great movie. Brotherhood of the Wolf. All good stuff. So he's one of those people, I'm not a huge fan of foreign movies, but when I see his name attached to something, I generally check it out. So I would do that. I would recommend that to anyone.
I'm surprised to see that he was in Ocean's 13.
Yeah, that was one of the worst. That was miscasting. Was it 12 or 13?
13.
13? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was the French hotel dude or something. I can't recall.
Yeah, not really well cast there. But
Should
anyway.
Move on?
Yes, let's move on.
So
anyway,
the silence says time to move on.
Yeah, so we both recommend Black Swan.
Yeah. Do it again.
Yep.
I really did. I've seen it like 4 times now.
Really?
So,
you liked it that much? Or?
I gotta. Well, we went. So do it again, really quickly. This is a documentary about made by a journalist at the Boston Globe, Jeff Edgers.
Mm-hmm.
And his mission in life, being such a fan of the Kinks, is to get them back together. This sort of rare circumstance from these, influential '60s band that just sort of, kind of would get close to the top and then implode. He decides that he's going to try and get them together because, unlike the Beatles and unlike Led Zeppelin in a way, all of the members are still living. It's just that they have between Dave. Let me retract. Just between the band members, they have some serious familial issues going on, and that is sort of preventing the band from even talking to each other. So his mission is to get them back together, and he does whatever he can to do so. And what he does is he enlists the help of. He wants to make a film that he can show Ray Davies and Dave Davies. Him, which consists of him interviewing other great musicians, like Sting, Paul Weller, Roy Van Hitchcock, talking about how much the Kinks meant to them,
right,
and how important it would be for them to get back together. And so he does this. We see him go from interview to interview, and he puts together this reel that he wants to show to Ray Davies, but Ray Davies isn't having any of it. He really just can't get he can't get the parties in the room together. So, but the movie is all about that mission, and I think it's very entertaining. I think, especially, with he's a entertaining guy. He's very excited when he talks about the Kinks, and from a record fan's point of view, this is a fun movie.
Well, I think a lot of it depends. I'm not that big a fan of the Kinks.
You know what, John? I wasn't.
Right.
And then we saw this movie. We saw the premiere last year at the Independent Fest.
Right.
So we may have talked about it a bit. I think we did talk about it a little bit in a prior episode. And this really introduced me to the Kinks. I'd only, like most people, been familiar with them because of a couple of songs, but.
Right.
But since then, I've become even more a fan of the Village Green Preservation Society and Waterloo Sunset in particular. And this movie, it kind of really introduced me to the Kinks.
See, it didn't. I don't think he made a strong enough case. I was pretty familiar with them and a lot of their infighting and the sibling rivalry and all that. I was just never a big fan, and this movie did nothing to convince me. Beyond the fact that I'm still not a big fan, I don't think he was a great. I don't think he made a great case for me as someone watching the movie that his
don't
passion.
Think he was a great host.
I don't think he was a great host, and I don't
road.
think he did a great job of. Yeah, it just didn't work. I wasn't convinced either way. I was like, yeah, and the fact is, it didn't bring anything new to me either.
Well, there's this sort of subplot going on in that the journalist's career and problems at the Boston Globe are kind of heading in a downhill direction. So he's got this, for him it's kind of like a midlife mission where his family needs to make ends meet, and yet he's still trying to do this Kinks thing. And he has an amusing confidant in this film, his daughter, who provides some very funny. It's neat seeing him teach his daughter about the Kinks, which in a way is, sort of what he's doing with the audience. And I enjoyed it. It's a lighthearted film. And I think he has some very. I think it's actually really well edited. Some of the humor comes from its, adept editing. There's an interview with Zooey Deschanel where you get to, and John Cusack, and you get to hear them exercise their musical knowledge and what the Kinks mean to them.
How much do you think that was the celebrity appearances were an important part of the story, and how much was just star fucking? That I can get Sting in my movie, and we're going to put him in, and I'm going to make an ass of myself playing a song with Sting, and isn't that funny?
Well, okay, let's just take that scene in particular with Sting.
Mm-hmm.
So part of one of the mini missions of this movie is that he has to try and get interviews with like Paul Weller or Sting or Robin Hitchcock.
Right.
And the way the interviews come off kind of shows you something about the people themselves. So, for example, he does an interview with Sting, and this is done during after one of Sting's Boston shows. And this, one can make the case that it doesn't really have anything to do with the Kinks. All you're going to do is get Sting talking about how awesome, the Kinks are. But it does have this sort of electric moment where, he's okay. I have to take a step back, because one of Jeff's other missions is that he wants to get the performer to play a Kinks song with him.
Right.
So it's not just like, I'm going to interview Paul Weller, I'm going to interview Sting or Robin Hitchcock or Zooey Deschanel. It's to get him that talent to do a performance with him of one song. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. There's Paul Weller kind of comes off as, the first time I saw it, I thought Paul Weller came off as a total jerk.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, he loves the Kinks and everything, and he was very gracious in giving Jeff an interview. But then I kind of, after the second and third time I saw this, I thought to myself, wait a second. It was Jeff who hijacked Paul Weller after Paul gave him the permission to do the interview, and it was sort of, maybe Paul kind of came off as being, maybe Jeff kind of came off as being the jerk, I mean, you put him on the spot, play a Kinks song, it just, so he kind of got blown off by Paul Weller, but he set himself up, and it didn't work. On the other hand, Sting accepts the challenge, takes the guitar, does a Kinks riff, from "You Really Got Me Now," and it actually does it really well, and Zooey Deschanel does a song with him too, real short one. But so yeah, I see what you're saying about the point of it.
Imagine you're interviewing some talent from a film.
Yeah.
And you either say, "Oh, and by the way, here's my script," or "Will you act out a scene from my favorite movie with me?" What's the point? It just became a little annoying to me that I know, it just didn't work. Again, it was one of those things where it was pulling me out of the story more than convincing me that this was something I should pay attention to.
So I see your point. It didn't actually have anything to do with whether or not Dave and Ray were going to get together.
Well, I don't mind the divergence so much as that, it's like the balance for me was at times it was too much of the guy, the Globe guy in the movie. It was all about him. It wasn't about his mission.
Yeah, he really gives you like, it's one of these films that's sort of not TMI, but a lot of showing stuff about his life and his philosophy and what the Kinks mean, and ultimately it's supposed to come together with what we would hope is a commitment on the Kinks' parts to perform. And he gets some, he gets their managers to do some stuff, to talk about it, and it really sort of builds this case that there's no way these guys are going to get together, and then it just becomes like, well, let's see if we can get Jeff in the same room with Ray Davies. And Ray Davies' people still don't want that to happen. So then he's able to get a way to be able to just get some film of Ray Davies doing something, So It's investigative, it's sneaky, but it is entertaining.
You were entertained.
Oh, come on, John. There had
no, I wasn't.
Come on, as a fan
Why does
of
there
rock
have
and roll,
to be something?
There's got to be some classic stuff in here.
That's too generic. There's nothing new here that I haven't seen before, whether it's an old clip of the Kinks. I'm not that big a fan of the Kinks. I don't think it's worth my 2 hours to sit for this guy trying to bring together a band I'm not that keen about. There's way too much of his bitchy life in it. I'm not entertained.
Didn't it make you more interested in the Kinks? Some of the stuff that they apparently went through as kids. Both been at each other's throats all their lives.
Right.
But for the times that they were making great music, they're able to put that aside. And when you listen to their music, it's really amazing.
I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid. I don't believe this. I don't believe they're that important.
You don't believe the Village Green Preservation Society and Waterloo Sunset
changed the world?
No, I mean, they're so good. Don't you believe that somehow there should be some introspection there as to what actually made these songs great? There's something.
Maybe.
What is it in these guys' messed up lives that allowed them to create such great music? Was it the friction?
That's a lot of projection. That I don't, I don't care what makes a song. I just wasn't that interested in all this, and I don't think the guy was a good host for it. And like I said, he didn't make the case for me to change my fact that I know some Kinks songs. I've heard some Kinks songs. I don't own a Kinks album that I know of.
I don't think there's anybody else that could have done it. But, because he's first and foremost a fan. Secondly, a journalist. And he's on this mission to teach people about the Kinks and try and get them together. And, it's all his doing. He's carrying it. He's carrying it all on his own. I was entertained by it. It's not I can't say it's great. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I don't want to spoil it, but But it did really get me to want to know more about the Kinks. And Ray Davies he comes off as like sort of an egotistical jerk too. Just why can't
He's always
they just
been
put
an
their
egotistical jerk
perform,
though. He's always been a dick.
Yeah.
That's just it. I read his biography, and he's a dick in his biography. That's nothing new for even the casual fan like myself. Know that the brothers broke up because they hate each other.
Yeah. Well, I would have read his biography. I got it. My brother walked off with it. I left the book sitting at my mom's house, and my brother Tom just decided, I'm going to read this. So he took it with him, and I haven't seen it for a couple of years. It's gone.
Anyway, we can agree to disagree on this one. It's playing at the Brattle December 10th to the 12th. And it's a chance for people to go up and make up their own minds about what we've been arguing about.
Yeah, but John, I want to know. Was there any what part of this movie did you like?
A couple of the clips. I like looking at Zoe Deschanel. But the story's not working for me. I'm looking more at my fingernails in the film.
Okay.
I was bored.
Okay.
And it's part of it's. Of course, it's interesting because he's a journalist in the middle of all this globe trouble. So as a journalist, I'm interested in that, but that has nothing to do with his mission.
Yeah, I did find that personally interesting too.
That's personally interesting, but if you step back, what does that have to do with him? Besides the fact that he's going through a personal crisis that he's trying to tie into this grand quest of his, it's not working for me. Couple of songs I recognize, couple of video clips I've seen before. I liked when Paul Weller fought and told him to go fuck off.
Yeah.
Because that was honest.
Man, I'm wondering if though, like, I would ask Jeff, and I you had just mentioned to me earlier that this was playing at the Brattle. I would have liked to have had him on the, come on to do an interview. Because this was actually, he actually finished this film like more than a year ago, maybe even 2. So these are like 2008 interviews, so perhaps something has come about since then.
You should get him. You should leave me out of it.
That'll be my mission.
Yeah, you should leave me out of it. Your mission is to get him on the podcast, and I'll listen to it, but I won't spoil it by I won't spoil it. You guys have a nice mission. Kinks fest, and I'll just listen.
All I want to know is if the movie has in any way influenced their opinion about getting back together.
Okay, I don't know. Ask him. Ask him on the show.
Fantasia.
Yeah, so you received the Blu-ray disc that has Fantasia and Fantasia 2000, right?
Yes. Well, I got an invitation to go to the 70th anniversary celebration of Fantasia over at the Museum of Fine Arts a few weeks back, and Dave Bossert, one of his colleagues, whose name I don't recall at the moment, gave a presentation, and they showed some rare films and some of the restored clips from Fantasia and Fantasia 2000, and I was, needless to say, blown away. I was just like, they also showed the Disney Dali film Destino.
Right,
I was just was just wowed by it. So they sent me a review copy a week ago, and I've since watched both films, and have just been like, wow, and it isn't just Fantasia. I saw this as a kid, and I actually had the weird experience of I was at the when they were recording Fantasia 2000. I was actually there in Chicago at the Masonic Temple on the north side, so I got to actually be in the I didn't actually see them record it, but I got to hear it. I was in the vestibule, and I saw all the Disney's vans and everything, all recording Fantasia 2000. So, but this was actually the first time I saw it, and
okay,
the Fire Dragon sequence, Firebird, amazing. There's the best, just a wonderful animated sequence to Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, it's terrific. Inspired by the art of Al Hirschfeld. I've seen that. I've played it. Probably a half dozen times now. That 8-minute sequence, loved it. But I think what's really fantastic about this disc is, so it's a 4-disc set. You get the Blu-ray, you get 2 DVDs, and you get, 2 Blu-rays, 2 regular DVDs, and I guess like a downloadable version of it. But they really packaged this well, because they set it up so that, like, if you have each Fantasia and Fantasia 2000 on separate DVDs, and the kids can watch that. But on the Blu-rays, like, for example, the Fantasia Blu-ray, you get a feature-length documentary on the relationship between Salvador Dali and Walt Disney. Disney and Dali, I forget the rest of the title. And then you get the short film. So it's actually very adult-oriented. There's a lot of Disney history on this. And another thing that's really terrific about this disc is the commentary. Let me actually come over to the shelf here. the commentary by I can't find the disc. I'm looking through my things.
It's not by Walt.
No. Where is it? Damn, man, I can't find it. They have a film historian do a really just jam-packed commentary on the history of Fantasia. Very detailed. In fact, it's such a busy commentary, it's almost tiring.
Well, one day I'm going to learn to appreciate commentaries, I guess. I hate commentaries on DVDs.
The guy's not even credited on the outside of the DVD. It just says audio commentaries. So you get a classic commentary from the Disney animators, but then you get this fella's his name isn't even on the outside, but he's like a Disney historian, and it's the best damn commentary. It's just loaded. I'm sorry. Go ahead, John. I interrupted you.
No, I've never been a fan of listening to commentaries. To me, it's like having some annoying person sit next to you talking in the movie. I've never enjoyed a commentary.
Well, I'm also of the opinion that a commentary it's not really a group experience. It's something you do,
alone.
I tend to listen to commentaries like hell while I'm falling asleep, or when I've got nothing else to do. It's I dig it. Like Roger Ebert's commentary on Citizen Kane, and his other one on John. Not Dark City. You mean the commentary, not Roger Ebert?
No, not Roger Ebert. It's the idea of commentary, and I don't like Citizen Kane, but
I dig it.
It's just the idea of commentary. It just annoys me. It'd be like someone just flicking my ear during the whole thing.
But I've in interviewing a number of filmmakers, I've come to learn that they're also huge fans of commentaries. Like Simon Pegg and Edgar Wright. The Hot Fuzz guys. Those guys, they love audio commentaries. John Landis. I want to say someone else, and I can't think of his name, but it just filmmakers are just generally fans of film. So this is sort of it's an indulgence. It's a fan of film kind of thing. And there's so many specifics that this guy delivers, and I don't have his name, but there's basically as a fan of, I'm not a huge fan of Disney stuff. I don't follow them, as I've come to learn that other people do in such a crazy way. But as far as film history goes.
Well, it's interesting. Right at the same time that they released Fantasia, Disney released 3 documentaries about their company. One was called Waking.
Right, yeah.
There's Waking, Sleeping Beauty is about how the company regained their dominance in animation right when they were about to be, broken apart and chewed up when ABC bought them. There's one called Walt and El Grupo, which is Walt Disney going down to South America at the beginning 1941 as part of a U.S. peace mission to South America. And then there's one called The Boys, which is the Sherman Brothers, who wrote the music for all those classic Disney musicals. They're all 3 of them are really good. And the best thing about them, and I've watched all 3. The best thing about them is they're not over Disneyfied. If the company's going to take a shot, they're going to take a shot. It's not like that generic, wholesome. Well, there might have been some trouble, but gosh darn it, we got things done. They're pretty honest about, Walt had union trouble. The animation department did suck. The Sherman boys didn't like each other. So they're very interesting. And it just, when you mention the history, there's 3 great examples of that Disney history out there now that people should check out.
Yeah, I'm intrigued. And you'd mentioned that Walt went to South America. Did you say Cuba? Well, they talk about that briefly on. There's a segment on the Fantasia 2000 Blu-ray, and I think it's on the regular DVD too, about a unproduced follow-up to Fantasia called Musicana, and they discuss. It's a brief featurette, something like 10 minutes, where they mention that he went to. His other musical influences as a part of it. And so they talk about the making of and ultimately the not making of Musicana, which is just seemingly would have been a fantastic bit of filmmaking, but Disney at the time decided against it because financially Fantasia was a failure. It didn't make its money until the 60s, like I think I previously mentioned, when people were showing up at the theater high, and so it wasn't until the mid-60s that Disney actually made a profit on the film. And but I got to tell you, there's this sequence, Beethoven's Pastoral, just so good. So good. And, we're not actually seeing the real one here. They've edited it. There was some culturally insensitive stuff, maybe 10, 20 seconds of it, with a African-American character, Centaur, that's been edited out of the film. And you can see that on YouTube, which you're not going to be seeing in the refurbished version. But, the pastoral is just beautiful. Real art. Oh, and also I want to mention quickly I think I don't know if I mentioned this before, but there's a notebook that was discovered that is now on display at the Disney Family Museum called the Schultes Notebook. Did I mention this before?
No.
The cinematographer, the guy responsible for many of the special effects on Fantasia, kept a detailed notebook, and this was discovered a few years ago. Basically, just shot by shot, behind-the-scenes photograph by behind-the-scenes photograph on how Fantasia was shot, and up until the finding of this notebook, they really didn't know how a lot of this stuff was done. So there's a featurette on that, which is pretty cool. So, from a film fan point of view, it's worth rewatching.
Yeah.
Lots.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. The one thing that bothered me a bit was that they do Fantasia 2000. They're going to do another addition to all this thing. And
they're going to do another. You're saying Disney is going to do another?
No.
I mean, Fantasia was designed that way. Designed to have updates over the years.
But the thing is, when they release Fantasia 2000 and they go through all this effort, and then they include the Sorcerer's Apprentice, it's only like 80 minutes long anyway, and they insert the animated sequence from all those years ago.
Yeah.
Why?
I think that was Walt's original idea, was to have this be a touchstone piece as it was in the first movie, and have it repeated in the others. So
maybe that was it. But it just seemed like it's such a short movie anyway to take up a big chunk of time when they could have done something new.
Well, I mean, at the time it was special, but here it sort of represents as a double up. And you just have to click past it. Except, who introduces it? Penn and Teller?
Penn and Teller. Yeah.
But art-wise, really an amazing.
Oh yeah,
amazing.
Looks beautiful. Still looks beautiful. It's funny because I remember seeing it over the years, and your tastes change. Sometimes you really enjoy the dancer mushrooms more than you enjoy the noise of or the scenes where it's just noise and how noise may look.
Man, I fell asleep. God, the first time I saw this movie, the second time.
Were you high?
I fell asleep watching it. I don't think I've ever seen it high. No, but it does put you to sleep. We're really,
It's soothing. It's relaxing.
Narratively, I don't think they're really concerned here with that dramatic structure. It's all interpretive,
Right.
It's interpretive animation.
And local hero James Levine, who's the conductor of Boston Symphony Orchestra, is the host for 2000, which just a little shout out.
Man, I could have done without the whale thing in Fantasia 2000. I think the computer animation in that is actually kind of a little dated.
I know, it was cutting edge at the time, though.
Yeah. It's gone. It's seen its time. There's a couple of pieces like that. The dancing ballerina. You know what I really dig, though, was the Donald Duck sequence.
Right.
The Donald Duck
Noah's Ark.
Noah's Ark sequence in Fantasia 2000. That was a kick.
That and the one you said before, the Rhapsody
in Blue. That
are classics.
Yeah. They showed that at the Art Institute. And just amazing. Really fantastic. So that's my pick of the week, video-wise.
Good.
You know what, John? You know what I would have loved to have talked about, but really can't kind of do it because I had a good 45-minute nap, 45 minutes to an hour. I think you know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah, tell the people.
Narnia. I went back to Narnia, and boy, did I sleep. Holy shit. What is it, Voyage of the Dawn Treader? I don't even remember the
I didn't
title.
even go. I had something else to do that night, and they told me I wouldn't be able to catch up on it, and I was like, all right, well.
Really? That was the one...
The one screening. I got a feeling they're shoveling this one out pretty quick.
Well, what I saw of it was... at the moments that I was coming out of my sleep, like with the sea serpent moment, and
when it got
I
loud.
guess Yeah, when it got loud. When I was, I saw it with my buddy Chris and his girlfriend Em. And, yeah, there were those loud moments that kind of jarred me. And, he got a kick out of that. Every time something smashed through the boat, I'd wake up. But, yeah, I think I went for about a half hour. And that's pretty much all I got out of Voyage of the Dawn Treader. I mean, it started off really well. With this really annoying kid. I thought he was so well cast. And then when they go back into Narnia through the painting that's in the bedroom, I thought that was pretty cool. But man, the Dawn Treader, the boat was really cool. But somewhere along the line, I just fell into a slumber, and I awakened during the moment where the girl went in. They had these like one-legged hopping characters that were guarding this invisible mansion, and she goes into this mansion to find this book of spells. And one of the spells she's looking for is that when she says these words, it'll make everything around her that's invisible visible. I fell asleep after that. Woke up during the sea serpent attack on the ship. That was pretty cool. And then I think
then you went back to sleep.
All the way back to the end credits. I was entertained by Simon Pegg as the mouse for a little while. But this is not an assessment of the film.
No,
this is just me
your experience.
Saying, like, I am very embarrassed that yes, I did fall asleep. But I was comforted in the knowledge afterward that I was not the only journalist who fell asleep during the movie. So.
Well, on that note, I'm going to recommend a DVD. There's the BBC just put out a collection of the Chronicles of Narnia, which is I guess I'm not sure what year it's from, but it's a TV version of the story. It's like a box set of the different. It's like a 3-disc set. I guess it came out in. Well, it was released in just a couple weeks ago. But anyway, the thing that's great about this is that it was obviously done when they didn't have those kind of effects. They couldn't show a sea serpent or put it in 3D or have Simon Pegg as a mouse. When they have a character who's a goat, it's a guy in a goat suit, and you can tell it's a guy in a goat suit. The effects are really cheesy, but I think it adds to the whole imagination of the story. That when you're watching it, it leaves just enough up to the imagination to make it fun to watch.
The clunky stuff.
The clunky stuff works. It somehow works. I guess it's from 1988, so the effects weren't that great. The kids aren't that annoying. It was fun. It was entertaining, and because it's one of these BBC sets, you can watch one episode and take a month off, and come back and watch another episode. You don't have to. You don't feel compelled. That's the thing about this new movie. This is what, the third one. I don't remember the first two.
Well, I don't think they're sort of not on the level of Lord of the Rings, and I enjoyed the experiences of watching the first two. But for me, it's just like see it in the movie the first time. That's the first and last time you see it. So,
right.
So that happened both times.
Wasn't Patrick Stewart a lion?
No, that's Liam Neeson.
Oh, see.
Yeah.
And see, I don't need to go to this. There's enough stuff to open in.
The battles, the effects are cool. The battle sequences are cool. The bloodless battle sequences, mind you.
Right. But would you pay? No, I'm going to have to pay
Would I pay 16,
3D?
17?
Yeah, I'm going to have to pay the 3D dividend to get in to see this thing. No. No, but maybe
if I had kids, it's a palatable film for palatable film for families.
Right.
Not bad. It's good. It's neat. Families would definitely get a kick out of it.
Right.
The kids.
Right.
So in a way, I would recommend it, but John, I've only seen about a half hour of it. So
that's all right.
Man, hey, you were talking about the BBC. I was listening to NPR's Culturetopia podcast, and they talked quite a bit about Sherlock. Saying this is just one of the best damn shows in the past couple of years, out of England. So now I'm really super intrigued to check it out.
Yeah, it's definitely. We talked about it last week or the week before.
And what's that guy's name again? Cumberbatch?
Yeah. But, if you're going to go into show business, you can afford to change your name. You don't want to be known as Cumberbatch.
He really did change his name.
No,
because they talked about it on NPR.
About his name?
Yeah, about how you can employ J.K. Rowling to just come up with a name like that. Just use her.
Excellent. All right, sir. I think we've pretty much done.
Yeah, I think we got a show.
We do. All right. Well, sign us off then.
All right. Until next week. What are we going to talk about next week? You know what? I could have talked about is Rabbit Hole, which I just want to make the point really quickly. The trailer for Rabbit Hole, totally freaking depressing. It's such a downer. The actual movie, a surprise. I can see how it's going to get some Oscar buzz. And Aaron Eckhart, who plays the husband in this film, he really great performance. Really great performance by one of the younger cast members, the teenage kid in the film. So that's basically my message. If they have another screening, John, do you think you might be able to?
Yeah. It sounds like something I can catch when it comes out, but and we'll just record after. Next week we've got The Tourist.
Oh right, The Tourist.
We've got The Boxer.
The
Fighter, and
we haven't seen The Boxer, which is the Frederick Wiseman film playing over at the Coolidge. I really want to see that, but I haven't been able to get over to the Coolidge lately. But that's one I really want to see.
Well, next week is The Fighter. I Love You, Philip Morris.
Ah, right, yeah.
Tourist, and I'll give you Queen of the Lot. We've got enough for a show next week.
Oh, no doubt.
I'm done. Have you seen Philip Morris yet?
No. But,
I'm so curious because
hopefully we'll see it this week.
There have been some absolutely hateful reviews in the paper, and then one of our fellow critics posted on Facebook that it could make his top 10 list for the year.
Really?
Yeah. So we'll go. And plus, it's been around. I guess it's been hanging on the shelves for years, and I'm curious to see what it is, what it's all about.
My impression is it's a production that was not without trouble.
Yeah.
And I'm not exactly sure if it's a drama or a comedy, but with Jim Carrey and Ewan McGregor, or it's particularly Jim Carrey. I mean, comedy, right? I guess.
I hope so, because when he tries to be serious, it's not always successful.
No, it's not majestic.
No. All right, let's sign off.
All right, until next week. This is the post-movie. Oh, you know what? There I go again. Without covering myself with a tag saying, please visit our Facebook page. Please leave a review, Check us out online at post-movie.net. We've got all of our shows up there. And John, where can listeners find you?
Let's say it's DVDaday .blogspot.com.
Cool. And send us an email at postmoviepodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. And John, you know what I just remembered?
No.
We're going to do a giveaway, but let's set it up online. You know what I mean?
All right,
I'll write the post for it, but I should have said this at the beginning of the episode. But go ahead. Tell the.
No. Let's leave it all online. There's a special giveaway, and they have to go online to find it.
Okay, sweet. So until next week, this is the Post Movie Podcast. I'm Steve Head,
and I'm John Black.
So long.